Started. So we are now officially recording. Darius, welcome to Coffee. Coffee. Have you got your coffee, by the way?
I've got
And
my tea. Yeah.
okay, and Conversations with Champions. That's very British. Okay,
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
hey, 100%. Thanks for being here, man. And I know we spoke about getting you on last year, and I think was it at one of the comps, or we were just chatting on
Yeah.
social, I
I think it
think.
was it was probably bench. I think Gauteng
Yeah.
bench.
Okay, cool. I think that was
Yeah.
at 1610.
Yes,
Was that?
that's
Yeah,
right.
it was a great comp. I love that sort of that outdoor space that they have there. And
Yeah. No, it's always a good time.
things get a little bit chaotic. So give us a little bit of your background. I know we spoke briefly about you lifting, and now you're looking at moving into coaching as well. So who is Darius?
So currently, I'm finishing off a PhD through Tux,
Cool.
and at the same time doing some part-time lecturing there, and then working as a strength and conditioning coach, but now formally moving into the coaching role at the Yard Athletic for the powerlifting team.
Sweet. Okay. And
Yeah.
you are the only person at the yard to train with your shirt on. Is that true? Um,
Well, things have changed. It's not a
yeah,
CrossFit gym anymore, but
yeah.
I used to be that guy when I was doing CrossFit.
That was, the yardies were so cool. You'd always see them at nationals because before they brought in the T-shirt for deadlift rule, it was only the yardies that didn't have the shirts on. And we blame Scotty for that fully. Hey?
Oh gosh, you're right. I thought that was like the best part about deadlifts.
Absolutely, no, 100%. I mean, that's what you do all the work for. Absolutely. Hey? So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right, cool. So, yep. And then, when you sort of finish, you're going to finish your PhD and then stick with the coaching, or sort of combine both.
Yeah, so I'm aiming to finish in the next couple months. So
Right.
just putting everything together and then hand in and hope for the best.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and still plan to coach at the Yard, but I'm not sure what the university they want to do with me, if they want to keep me on full time or
Okay.
let's see. So
Fair
I'm still
enough.
on a probation period, I guess.
All right. Cool. But so
Yeah,
I suppose would you be able to do all three?
yeah, definitely. Well, I think it's very possible, like time wise.
Right.
Um, but I know how much stress can go into working in academia. My
Yeah.
supervisor mentioned that at one point she was working a 100-hour week
Sure.
for a
Okay.
few weeks. So it can get pretty rough, but
And
I
that
think
could
I'll
sort
manage.
of carry away from you. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your history in powerlifting. How did you get into the sport?
Oh gosh. So I came back to South Africa in uh, probably the beginning of 2018, end of 2017. I was living in England at the
Right.
time. I was only meant to be back for a couple months, visit some family and go back and you know start a PhD.
Hmm.
But yeah, so when I was back, I kind of joined a CrossFit gym. It was called Fit, PHIT, and I was doing CrossFit for a bit, just trying to get into it, see what it was about.
Right.
And the coaches there was Dina Power.
Okay.
So she convinced me to start powerlifting. She watched me bench one day and she was like, "Oh, I think you can do pretty well."
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, and now, well, I did CrossFit for a few years and then
Mm-hmm.
just dabbled in the powerlifting, just joined everybody in the comps, and I got injured
Mm-hmm.
and just officially moved over to powerlifting
Okay.
probably 3 years ago, and it's been
Okay.
great. I actually love it. It's yeah.
So what do you find special about the sport?
I think it's a true representation of how strong you are. We've got weightlifting, like Olympic weightlifting. We've got strongman. We've got
Yeah.
multiple different modalities for testing strength. But powerlifting is just at its rawest form, I think, at its purest um, form of demonstrating how strong you are. And I
Yep.
think that really excites me,
Okay.
even
It
though
mm,
spectating is not always an exciting thing. But
right.
yeah,
It's such a great point that because if you look at Olympic lifting, and everyone thinks Olympic lifting is sort of that's the pinnacle of strength. I think because those lifts are so technical that you can gain those kilos or lose those kilos if your technique goes out the window. With
Yeah.
powerlifting, you've still got a percentage available that if you mess up on the technique, you can get the weight up and you can finish the lift. So
Yeah. No, I totally
absolutely.
agree with you. Yeah.
Uh, so from a point of the lifting and then feeling that strength, why is that important to you?
Gosh, I'm not sure. I think it's never bad being strong. It's never
Absolutely.
a problem being stronger than you actually are.
Yeah,
Can't think of a situation where it's worse. And there's something in being strong as well. I don't know. You, it's very hard to describe, but if other, you know, people who have attained a certain level of strength understand what it means to, pass a threshold where you're like, wow, actually, I feel
yeah.
good about this. Like I've achieved something outside of just medals or whatever. Like I've really pushed my body's potential. So,
And it's great for enhancing that quality of life where you know that you can rely on yourself, you can depend on yourself in many situations.
oh, for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, as we get older, if we don't exercise, we lose type 2 muscle fibers.
yeah.
And those are the ones that are, the strong, fast twitch fibers.
Well, that
And
yeah,
and retaining that strength is so important for quality of life later on.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. It's I think your strength is your mother's skill, right?
yeah,
And everything comes from that: your balance, your coordination, your stamina, your endurance, your reaction time. So for older people, if you don't want to fall, stay strong so that you
yeah.
can react quickly. Absolutely. So,
And
yep. Sorry.
sorry, I was just gonna. So something from my studies, just to
Mm,
include, just to add to that, was being stronger helps you learn skills much faster, like physical skills. So even if you're not good at something, getting
mm,
stronger will automatically help you learn faster.
right.
So yeah,
And I think that becoming strength is neural, right? I mean,
yeah,
an average person can activate 30%, 25% of their muscle fiber, an elite athlete up to 50%. And you're just doubling that. You get that nervous system stronger from a dirt road to a 6-lane highway. You Yeah, you can upskill a lot quicker. The strength has not helped me in any way with racket sports. I'm just putting that out there. So I've not been bitten by the paddle craze.
oh no, I actually tried it while I was into
Yeah.
it. So it was good fun.
Okay. Now
Yeah,
with my stigmatism, I tend to lose the ball just before the net to just
oh no,
after the net. So it's like surprise.
yeah, maybe avoid that for a little bit. I don't
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah.
They
So
should put a bell on it or something.
yeah, audio 100%. The your lifting career, can you tell us a little bit sort of about that? Where you came in first couple of comps, what has happened since then?
Um, so I've been lifting for the last 5 to 6 years.
Mhm.
At the beginning, just figuring it out if I actually like this thing, or how much time do I want to dedicate to getting better at it.
Mm.
And over time, just slowly got better and better. I was patient with things, avoided injury as best I could. And I think I got the real first taste of powerlifting when I did Arnold's, I think in 2018. I
Okay.
did the Arnold's powerlifting then. And I think having all the international lifters there as well it brought a different atmosphere. So I
Yes.
think from there, that's when I knew, okay, this is something I want to get into.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
what has your journey been since then in the sport in
Since
terms of
then,
competition?
podiumed a few times. I won bench, the 74 category in 2021, the
Mm.
bench press competition. And then uh, 20, 22, 20.
Yeah.
I basically, so I'm
It's the
getting old.
It's the COVID effect with the
I know.
calendar.
I know it really is. So last year I won gold at
Yeah.
SAs, which was a big achievement for me. It was a big goal.
Yeah.
And the year before that was a silver, and the year before that was a bronze. So I was just
Okay.
patiently climbing, and Yeah, seeing what I
and
could do.
pushing through. Did you do the Arnold's? Was it the year before last when it was in the tent?
Oh
Um,
no, but I did see a few videos of it. What was that like?
it was interesting because one, it was freezing cold in there, and two, obviously, as soon as they literally had ice on the inside of the tent, and that condensation started to melt, so it was raining on the platform from the interior of the
Oh,
tent, and then trying to get a level platform. So the guys did really well with setting up the platform, the SA team, and so we just had to move things around a little bit. But grabbing
yeah.
those bars, they were literally frozen. I mean, it was like -1, -2. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. But they used to have it in the
Yeah,
Stanton Convention Center, I think, the
yeah,
Arnold Festival. And
yeah.
then why did it move
So
outside? Do you know?
yeah, I have no idea. I think one, they were also trying to look at areas that would bring in the most spectators, the most supporters, and maybe just the cost of the convention center, also probably became a bit of a
Okay.
challenge, or they couldn't get those dates at the convention center. So what the real reason is, I'm not too sure. It was a vibe. It was really a lot of fun outdoors, and it was kind of like being in a fete, like a school fete kind of
Oh yeah,
thing, with going to all the different areas. It was the food courts were much more easily accessible, which made it important for me. So
that's always important for a
yes,
powerlifter, you know.
absolutely, 100%. So, in terms of your career, what are you looking to go for? What are you looking to achieve? I think we got World Bench in Texas this year, and then we've also got. I mean, you're still a ways from Masters, but we've got Masters, we've got Commonwealth at Sun City. I think we're literally going to be in Sun City for 3 weeks back to back. It's going to be epic,
No,
and
that's
it's
amazing.
October,
I'm very excited for this year.
and it's October, so it's going to be warm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my issue is that I'm not a South African citizen, so I don't have a South African passport or anything like that. I'm
Okay.
just a permanent resident. So I
Right.
can't represent South Africa on the international platform.
Okay.
And then, so I'm officially British.
Right.
And so I spoke to them at the British Federation, and they said, look, you need to do the
Mm.
county comp, you need to do all England, and you need to do all Britain. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I don't want to fly over 3 times for a comp. Can't I just qualify here with my numbers, and then you guys can decide whether to
Right.
take me or not? And they said, no, it has to be in person,
Okay.
which is a bit silly because obviously the Federation has the same standards, or should have the same standards across
Yeah.
the world. But, it is what it is. And I've tried to get my South African application through.
Okay.
But you know how the admin is here in Home Affairs. So
Yeah. 100%. So I mean, on that point, I mean, and it must be incredibly frustrating because when you're winning and you are at that level, you do want to take it to an international level, and then to get over for those multiple comps, it becomes a problem as well. I had an athlete asking me a similar question and saying, no, listen, you need to do the equivalent of provincials and then nationals and then qualify for the team. And then you've got to represent the team there. So where do you go with the training and so on? But from a coaching point of view, we touched on that earlier. What's your goals for your coaching career?
so coaching wise, I think it's probably best that I'm not competing, so I can focus on everybody else
Yeah,
and really give them the attention they need. Um, I think in terms of coaching, I want everyone to get stronger without getting injured. I
yeah,
think avoiding injury is such a big part of this game that we're playing. If you get injured, you're basically taking many steps back,
yeah.
and you have to rebuild all over again. Where if you're patient enough and you're patient enough to wait for those gains to come and avoid injury at all costs, then you know you, it's just a matter of time before you hit the podium or silver or gold.
And
So
that's such an important point because it's not only the injury that affects you now, but sort of over 18, you potentially going to be carrying that for the rest of your life if it's quite severe.
yeah,
And
no, totally, yeah,
always trying to explain to the athlete in the moment, if there's a tweak, if something's not feeling 100%, the benefit you're going to get from those 2 or 3 sets or even that whole session doesn't compare to the potential risk of being injured. So,
yeah, no, you're right.
what are the things that you like to focus on for recovery?
For recovery.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry, let's say injury prevention. Sorry. Yeah.
so injury prevention, um, I'm personally not a big believer in static stretching.
Okay.
It has its time and its place. Like before I go to bed, I'll usually static stretch and
Mm.
just make sure I don't get like uh, just so I can relax and kind of fall asleep a bit quicker.
Yeah.
I don't get restless legs.
Okay.
But what I'll do on my off days is that I'll do a tempo training set. So I kind of get my heart rate in above 80% for about 10 to 12 seconds, then let it drop back down for about 60 and just kind of do sets of that. And
Right.
then I'll hit the sauna afterwards. And I do this protocol where it kind of acts on your parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
So when you lift weights, you're obviously firing up a lot of neurons. A
Mm.
lot of impulses are going through your body. And to relax the nervous system, especially the parasympathetic nervous system, is so crucial for recovery. So it's basically getting in the sauna, getting out, doing a cold shower, and it's like
Mm.
timed based on heart rate. And yeah, so that was quite a big game changer, especially since I've got such terrible sleep. I
Okay.
think everybody knows how important sleep is, just to
Yeah.
get good quality and quantity of sleep.
I think it's
Um,
number one, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't remember who I was listening to, but they said if the benefits of sleep were in pill form, it would be an illegal substance. It would
Yeah.
be banned instantly. That's
It'd
how
be a,
powerful it
yeah,
is.
it'd be a performance enhancing drug. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. No, it would.
And it's free.
I know, I know. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah. That's it.
So, but
They'd rather, even you want to lose weight, sleep. You want to recover, sleep. You want to be better, sleep.
yeah, yeah, it's
The teenagers were right.
yeah.
So, okay,
But yeah,
100%.
it's essentially that's it. What I do for recovery.
Okay. Within that, I mean, what do you, how do you find passing that on to your athletes that you're coaching? How difficult is it to get them to actually prioritize recovery versus just training and then living life?
I think a big thing, obviously, is them feeling comfortable communicating with you. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, more than most people think, or most trainers think, is that your clients will often lie to you about how they're doing, or
Yeah.
maybe underreport or not
Mm.
really tell the full truth. So making sure it's a safe space and making sure that they're telling you the truth, so then you can actually help them properly. Because if they
Yeah.
say there's no problem and there is, you're not going to ask any further questions, are you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, that's I think the most important, making sure that there's a good, like you're not passing judgment on them, having bad behaviors or bad habits. So
And it's also watching that body language, right? And letting them, how they walk into the gym, what's the energy like, what's the mood like, and then sort of
yeah,
affecting the session based on that.
yeah.
So, why should someone get into powerlifting?
Gosh, I think like
I can see you going like, well, would you not?
yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I think for someone who's not interested in powerlifting and
Mm,
they're maybe playing rugby or netball or hockey, I think being stronger is going to help you regardless.
yeah,
You're going to run faster, jump higher. Your body's going to handle more stress, so you're less likely to get injured.
yeah,
Um,
and you'll heal and recover quickly. You're
yeah,
upping that capillary development, right?
yeah.
You're feeding your body
And
properly.
if you can handle more, you're taking on less stress relatively to what you would if you were weaker. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? So yeah, so that's for on the sporting side of things. I think just the general population. I think that longevity factor. I
yeah,
think being able to have a good quality of life later on is so important to just having a good quality of life in your 80s and 90s and possibly your hundreds.
hundreds, 120s, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
well,
I
said
think,
so.
yeah, yeah. The only people who don't want to make their next birthday are those who are struggling with quality of life. You got
Yeah,
good quality of life. I look at there's a gentleman, Dion Friedlander, and Dion is a competitive bodybuilder in his 80s. And and he's winning Mr. Europe, Mr. France. He travels all over the world competing. And what's so cool is he's beating guys in their 60s. So if you're talking about
Well,
hanging
he's had
on
more
to
time to
muscle
train.
mass.
You know, you gotta. He's had more time.
Yeah, he's had more time to recover, right?
Yeah.
So that's just to see him and his energy in his mid 80s. It's crazy. It's like he's like looking at a 16-year-old, and
Yeah.
that's really what we want to do. And from what you've seen as well, I mean, for people who are older, you know, can they still power lift? Should they be someone in their 50s, in their 60s? When's it too late to start?
So I'll tell you a story. So, gosh, I don't know. I'm sure she'll be fine with me mentioning her name.
Mm.
So, when I first started strength and conditioning coaching, I very early on I got a client called Sandra van der Wel,
Mm-hmm.
and she was in her late 50s, relatively sedentary. Like she would walk, but relatively sedentary
Mm.
from what she is now. And within three 3 years of training with me, she entered the Masters 2 uh, powerlifting category and won a
Mm-hmm.
gold.
Sure. Huh?
And she was, I think, 59 at the time of that competition. So it's never too late. It really
Yeah.
isn't. Um, and if you've got access to the equipment, and I would highly recommend, starting. Even if it's just a little bit, it's more than you would have done if you didn't do it at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and her quality of life has changed. She's more active. She can enjoy being more active. The world's a little bit easier to navigate.
Right.
And you can even tell in her mood. She's confident in herself, got a better attitude. Well, she's always had a good attitude, but she's just, I think the confidence adds to it.
Is there? Yeah. Just to touch on that, I mean, the yard is pretty well renowned for its community and its vibe. How is the atmosphere? How's that vibe and that community in terms of the value that you get out of the sport as a?
Gosh, it's an individual sport, but you train
Mm,
as a team. A lot
yeah.
of the time, people train as a team.
Yes.
And we're so fortunate that we've had really fantastic people come and join the yard and train with us. We haven't really had a bad egg. And
Mm.
even if we do, they get, they kind of mold to,
Good
the good
eggs.
attitude and
Yeah. Mm.
positivity and everything that the yard brings.
Mm.
And that's not just the powerlifting side. That's also the
Yeah.
conditioning classes, the boxing. Everyone's really friendly with each other, and everyone wants each other to do better in whatever their goals are. So
Right.
yeah, it's a very healthy gym environment.
And what's the atmosphere like with a team at competitions?
It's always a little bit more serious. You know how it
Mm.
goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes it different is experience. I think our first time lifters are always a bit more nervous, a bit more quiet.
Mm.
Whereas you do more and more comps, they get more comfortable, a little bit more talkative, a little bit more. Um, they're more comfortable talking to other competitors that they would have never spoken to
Yeah.
before. Where their first time lifting, they're kind of, trying to not miss a lift or something like that.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
focused on the lifting. Yeah. Okay. Cool. With your future within the sport, where are you looking to go? So from a competitive side, a coaching side, what's the dream?
So winning essays was it was a goal I had. Um, and now that I can't really cross that threshold just yet, going into Worlds and Commonwealth and all of that, those goals are kind of on pause until
Mm.
this whole citizenship thing gets sorted out. So I really want everybody that I'm working with at the yard to just do the best they can, really hit their potential, really want them to see how far they can push themselves. And I want them to compete at Worlds and Commonwealth and Asia Pacific. So I think now, although I'm still training, I want my energy to be, focus on them being the best they can.
I think just to touch on that point, because and it's what we were speaking about earlier, how have you found the rewards for yourself from coaching versus yourself competing?
It's a good question. Um, I think myself competing, it's a good feeling to know you've ticked the box. You know, it's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
But it fades very quickly for me. You know, I'm always like, okay, we had it, just now back to training,
Next.
not
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
But watching people grow and helping them get there is probably far more rewarding than getting myself to where I want to be. You
Right.
know, and it's not just them winning or podiuming or um, getting national colors or whatever it is. It's them physically.
Or even getting them to their first competition, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's it.
Um, it's knowing that you've helped somebody achieve their goals and made themselves better
Yeah.
and moving them forward.
So I mean, the sport really does change lives. And I think you see that as a coach, right?
Yeah, of
Where
course.
you were talking about your client earlier, and like it's a game changer for the quality of someone's life. So, from yourself, how do people? I mean, are you doing just at the yard? Are you doing any online coaching? Sort of what? How do people get in touch? And we got your
So,
socials down below.
so just at the yard at the moment.
Okay.
I had my own small gym that I was just doing strength and conditioning with various athletes and general population. But now I'm kind of officially moved over to the yard.
Okay.
Uh,
Awesome.
yeah,
So they can just get you on your social there. And I mean, if
yeah.
people want to reach out online and get a little bit of help, it's something that you're comfortable to do.
No, of course, yeah. You can follow me on Instagram, send the yard an email, call them up. Yeah,
Right.
very
Brilliant.
easygoing community. So,
Okay, 100%. Is there anything else sort of that you'd like to finish with, or just like you'd like to mention that we haven't
um,
touched on?
nothing in particular. I'm just really grateful that I found the sports and I've had the people in my life that guided me to get better and to,
Mm,
help me along the way.
right.
That was a big thing. But and the other thing is, I'm like really, I want to say, well done on your ability to just go out there, get the streams going, get these podcasts going. I think it's about time somebody did it, and I'm glad you took the initiative.
Oh, thank you.
They're really enjoyable, and I
Yeah,
think you've made powerlifting a lot more accessible to people.
thank you. We appreciate that. It's been a learning curve, a steep one. It's been a lot of fun, and I think one of the things that we want to try and focus on for this year, which at some of the internationals it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but for some of the local comps is the commentating, because I know there's a big need for that, and we tested that in PE last year at SA Bench, and to have non-lifters find us on social and start watching, and then they posing questions live and you're answering them, it gets people really hyped up and coming back the next day. And it's the most incredible sport that I know, and it's given so much to so many people. And people keep coming back, so it's I suppose it's the least really, Darius, that we can do, right, is to help just grow it. And I think we really want to get the sport known so that we can bring in sponsorship, have better access to sponsorship, give athletes and coaches like yourself access to an interview where you can then share it and say, hey, the brand is wanting to align with you and look after you and build it, because the more people we got on board, the more we grow the sport, the more support we can get for the sport. And it snowballs like that. And I think what's so great, when I started lifting, probably 2010, round about there. Yeah, I'm old. I think there were like two or three gyms. I mean, there was like Hank had a gym, Rodney had a gym, Harney had his gym out at the farm. And then now, where the yards come along and all of these other facilities where you can really find something that's close to home, and that makes it great, which is really, really cool. So, yeah. Oh, Darius, have you frozen there on me? So, how was that? Unless he's being really still. Guys, it looks like, unfortunately, we've lost connection with Darius. But I did want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Darius Sangari for joining us. And look, get in touch with him on social, reach out, and if you have any questions or comments or would like to look at a bit of coaching, get in touch with him or the yard. So thank you, Darius, for coming on board, and thank you guys for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next podcast.